If you walked into any grocery store right now and looked around, you would think everything is fine. The shelves are stocked. The lights are on. People are filling their carts like nothing is happening. But behind the scenes, something is shifting. Supply chains are under more pressure than they have been in years. Weather patterns are disrupting harvests across multiple continents. Shipping costs are climbing again. And the people who pay attention to these things are quietly building their pantries right now, before the next wave hits. I have been tracking food prices and availability for a long time. And what I am seeing in 2026 is unlike anything I have seen before. Not because there is one big crisis, but because there are a dozen small ones all happening at the same time. And when that happens, the items that disappear first are always the ones nobody thought to stock up on. Today, I am going to walk you through 15 emergency pantry foods that every home in America should have right now. These are not random picks. These are based on real supply data, real pricing trends, and real conversations I have had with people who work in food distribution. Some of these will seem obvious, but I promise you, when we get to number 11, you are going to stop and rethink your entire pantry strategy. That one item alone could save you hundreds of dollars and a lot of stress when things get tight. Before we get into it, if you are the kind of person who wants to stay ahead of what is coming instead of reacting after it is too late, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel is built for people like you, people who want the information before it becomes the headline. Let us get into it. Item number 1. White rice in bulk bags. This one is the foundation. And I do not mean the little 2-pound bag you grab at the store when you remember you need it. I am talking about 20 or 25-pound bags of long-grain white rice, the kind you can find at Costco or your local Asian grocery store. Here is why this matters right now. Global rice production has been under serious strain. Export restrictions from key producing countries have come and gone over the past 2 years, and the baseline price of rice in the United States has climbed steadily. According to USDA tracking data, rice prices at the retail level are up over 15% compared to where they were just 2 years ago. And the forecasts for the next growing season are not reassuring. I checked prices at 3 different stores last month. Costco had a 25-pound bag of Calrose rice for just under $15. That same bag at a regular grocery chain was closer to $22. And at a convenience store in my area, a 5-pound bag was almost $9. The price gap is real, and it is growing. White rice stores for years if you keep it sealed and dry. Literally years. You can buy it today, and it will be perfectly good in 2030. There is almost no food on earth that gives you that kind of shelf life for that kind of price. If you do not have at least 50 pounds of white rice in your home right now, you are behind. This is not about doomsday thinking. This is about math. The price is only going up. The supply is only getting tighter. Buy it now while it is still easy to find and affordable. Item number 2. Canned black beans and pinto beans. I know this sounds basic, but that is exactly why most people overlook it. Canned beans are one of the most calorie-dense, protein-rich, shelf-stable foods you can own. And right now, the canned goods market is going through something that most shoppers have not noticed yet. Tin and aluminum costs have been rising globally. The price of the metal that makes the can is going up, which means the price of everything inside the can is going up too. Several major canning facilities in the Midwest reported production slowdowns earlier this year due to equipment costs and labor shortages. That does not make the news, but it shows up on the shelf 6 months later. I personally keep at least 40 cans of beans in my pantry at all times. Black beans, pinto beans, kidney beans, and chickpeas. I rotate through them so nothing expires, but I always have a deep supply. When I started doing this 2 years ago, I was paying about 89 cents a can at Walmart. Last week, the same cans were $1.19. That is a 30% increase that happened so quietly, most people did not even register it. Stock up on beans now. Get a mix of types, store them in a cool, dry place, and rotate them into your regular meals. If anything disrupts the food supply for even 2 weeks, Beans and rice together will keep your family fed and nourished. That combination gives you a complete protein. Most people do not know that. Item number 3. Peanut butter. This one is personal for me because I eat peanut butter almost every day. And I started noticing something about 6 months ago. The jars got slightly smaller, the prices stayed the same, or went up, and the texture changed on a couple of the brands I usually buy. Peanut butter is one of the most important emergency foods you can have. It is packed with calories, healthy fats, and protein. It does not need refrigeration until you open it. And a sealed jar of peanut butter can last well over a year on the shelf. But here is what is happening behind the scenes. Peanut crops in the southeastern United States have been hit by unpredictable weather for 2 consecutive growing seasons. Georgia, which produces nearly half of the country's peanuts, saw significant yield reductions. The major brands like Jif and Skippy have adjusted their pricing and their jar sizes accordingly. You are paying more and getting less, and it is only going to continue. I bought a case of 12 jars from Amazon last month at a price per jar that was lower than anything I could find in stores. That is my recommendation. Buy in bulk online or at warehouse clubs. Get the regular creamy or crunchy varieties, not the natural ones with oil separation, because the natural kind has a shorter shelf life. Store them in a cool, dark cabinet. And do not wait on this one. Peanut butter is one of those items that will spike fast when supply dips. Item number 4. Canned tuna and canned chicken. If you are building a serious emergency pantry, you need protein that does not require a freezer. Canned tuna and canned chicken are your best options here. They are affordable, they last for years, and they are incredibly versatile. What most people do not realize is that the global tuna supply has been tightening. Overfishing regulations, rising fuel costs for commercial fishing fleets, and shifting ocean temperatures have all contributed to reduced catches in the Pacific. Major brands like StarKist and Bumblebee have already adjusted their pricing, and some stores have started limiting the varieties they carry. Canned chicken is in a similar position. Poultry prices across the board have been elevated since the avian flu outbreaks that started back in 2022 and have continued in waves through 2025. The canned chicken you see on the shelf today is priced higher than it was a year ago, and the cans are not getting any bigger. I keep at least 20 cans of tuna and 10 cans of chicken in my pantry. I use them in salads, sandwiches, casseroles, and pasta dishes during normal times. But if something happens and fresh meat becomes hard to get or too expensive, those cans become my family's main protein source. Buy them now. The name brands are fine, but store brands work just as well. Check the expiration dates and aim for cans that give you at least 2 years of shelf life. You do not want to be standing in the canned meat aisle during a crisis realizing you should have done this months ago. Item number 5. Rolled oats. This is one of the most underrated pantry items in America. Rolled oats are cheap, filling, nutritious, and they store beautifully. A large canister of old-fashioned oats from Quaker costs a few dollars and provides dozens of servings. And if you buy them in bulk from somewhere like Costco or Sam's Club, the cost per serving drops to almost nothing. But here is what caught my attention recently. Oat prices on the commodity market have been volatile. Canada, which supplies a massive portion of the oats consumed in North America, has dealt with drought conditions and reduced acreage. That does not mean oats are going to vanish tomorrow, but it means the price you pay today is almost certainly lower than the price you will pay in 6 months. I started buying the large bulk bags of rolled oats and storing them in 5-gallon food-grade buckets with Gamma Seal lids. You can get those buckets at Home Depot or online. One bucket holds about 25 pounds of oats, and if you add an oxygen absorber packet, they will last for 10 years or more. That is not an exaggeration. That is the actual shelf life when stored properly. Oats are not just for breakfast. You can grind them into flour for baking. You can add them to soups and stews as a thickener. You can make granola bars, cookies, and energy bites. They are one of the most versatile foods you can store, and almost nobody has enough of them. Item number 6. Honey. If there is one food that literally never expires, it is honey. Archaeologists have found pots of honey in Egyptian tombs that were over 3,000 years old and still perfectly edible. That is not a myth. That is documented science. But beyond the shelf life, honey is incredibly useful. It is a natural sweetener. It has antibacterial properties. You can use it to soothe a sore throat or treat minor wounds. And in a situation where sugar becomes scarce or expensive, honey becomes invaluable. What most people do not know is that the American honey supply is under real pressure. Bee populations have been declining for years, and commercial beekeeping operations are struggling with colony collapse and rising costs. Imported honey, which makes up a large percentage of what is sold in stores, has been the subject of ongoing quality concerns and tariff adjustments. The price of real pure honey has gone up significantly, and some of what you see on the shelf is blended with corn syrup or other fillers. I buy my honey directly from local beekeepers at farmers markets. But if that is not an option for you, look for brands that say 100% pure honey on the label and check the country of origin. Buy at least 2 or 3 large jars and store them at room temperature. Honey does not need refrigeration. If it crystallizes, just warm it gently and it goes right back to liquid. This is one of those items that gives you peace of mind because you know it will always be there when you need it. Item number 7. Pasta and pasta sauce. I almost did not include this because it seems so obvious. But then I thought about how many people I know who only have 1 or 2 boxes of pasta in their kitchen at any given time. That is not a pantry. That is a Tuesday night dinner. Dried pasta is one of the best emergency foods you can store. It is cheap, it lasts for years, it is filling, and almost everyone in your family will eat it. A 1-pound box of spaghetti costs about $1 at most stores, sometimes less, and it provides roughly 8 servings. The cost per meal is almost unbeatable, but the price of wheat has been climbing. Global wheat markets have been disrupted by conflict, drought, and export restrictions from major producing nations. Durum wheat, which is specifically used to make pasta, has seen some of the sharpest price increases. Several pasta brands have already raised their prices once or twice this year, and industry analysts expect more increases before the end of 2026. I keep at least 20 pounds of assorted pasta in my pantry at all times. Spaghetti, penne, elbow macaroni, and egg noodles. I also keep a dozen jars of pasta sauce. The sauce is important because without it, plain pasta gets old fast. Look for jarred sauces with simple ingredients and long shelf lives. Store-brand marinara works perfectly. Buy it now while it is still one of the cheapest foods in the store, because that will not last forever. Item number 8. Powdered milk. This is one that most people never think about until they need it. And by then, it is usually too late. Fresh milk is one of the first things that becomes unavailable during any kind of supply disruption. It is perishable. It requires constant refrigeration. And the dairy supply chain is incredibly fragile. One disruption at the processing level and entire regions can see shortages within days. Powdered milk solves that problem. A sealed package of non-fat dry milk can last for years. You just add water and you have milk. It works for drinking, cooking, baking, and making sauces. It is not going to taste exactly like fresh milk straight from the jug, but it is nutritionally complete, and it works in every recipe that calls for milk. I bought a large can of powdered milk from an online emergency food supplier about a year ago. I paid around $20 for what amounts to several gallons of reconstituted milk. That same can today is closer to $28. The price is moving, and most people have not even thought about adding this to their pantry. If you have kids, this is especially important. Milk is a staple in most children's diets, and having a backup supply that does not need refrigeration is just smart planning. Get at least 1 large can or a few smaller packages. Store it sealed in a cool, dry place and check the expiration date. This is one of those quiet essentials that could make a huge difference when it matters most. Item number 9. Canned vegetables. I know what you are thinking. Canned vegetables are not exactly exciting. But excitement is not the point of an emergency pantry. The point is survival, nutrition, and keeping your family fed when the normal systems fail. Canned corn, green beans, diced tomatoes, peas, carrots, and mixed vegetables should all be in your pantry right now. They provide vitamins, fiber, and variety, and they last for 2 to 5 years on the shelf without any special storage. Here is what I have been noticing at my local stores. The selection of canned vegetables has been shrinking. Not dramatically, but noticeably. Certain brands have disappeared. Certain sizes are no longer available. And the prices on what remains have crept up steadily. A can of Del Monte green beans that used to be $1 is now $1.39 at my nearest grocery store. That is a nearly 40% increase that happened over about 18 months. The canning industry is consolidating. Smaller producers are shutting down, and the big companies are focusing on their most profitable products, which means less variety and higher prices for consumers. I have been buying canned vegetables in bulk whenever I see a sale. Last month, Walmart had a deal on great value canned corn at 78 cents a can. I bought 30 cans. That might sound extreme to some people, but when each can provides 3 to 4 servings of vegetables, 30 cans is actually a very reasonable stockpile. Do not sleep on canned vegetables. They are the backbone of any serious emergency pantry. Item number 10. Salt. This might be the most important item on this entire list, and it is the one that almost everyone forgets. Salt is not just a seasoning. It is a survival essential. Without salt, your body cannot function. It regulates fluid balance, nerve function, and muscle contractions. In a prolonged emergency, salt deficiency can become a serious medical issue. But beyond the health aspect, salt is critical for food preservation. Before refrigeration existed, salt was how people kept meat, fish, and vegetables from spoiling. If you ever find yourself in a situation where the power is out for an extended period, salt becomes your primary tool for preserving food. A large container of iodized table salt costs about $1. A 25-pound bag of salt from a restaurant supply store costs under $10. There is no reason not to have a significant supply of salt in your home. It never expires. It takes up very little space. And its value in an emergency is almost impossible to overstate. I keep 2 large containers of iodized table salt and 1 bag of coarse kosher salt in my pantry. I also have a small supply of canning salt, which is pure salt without any additives, specifically for food preservation. This cost me less than $15 total, and it will last my family for years. If you take one thing away from this entire video, let it be this. Go buy salt. Buy more than you think you need. It is the cheapest insurance you will ever purchase. Item number 11. Coconut oil. This is the one I told you about at the beginning, and I was not exaggerating when I said it could change your entire pantry strategy. Most people think of coconut oil as a trendy cooking ingredient or a beauty product. But in an emergency pantry context, coconut oil is something else entirely. It is one of the most shelf-stable fats you can store. Unlike butter, which needs refrigeration, or vegetable oil, which can go rancid within a year, coconut oil can last for 2 to 3 years or more when stored properly in a sealed container at room temperature. And fat is something most emergency pantries are critically short on. Rice, beans, oats, and pasta are all great, but they are mostly carbohydrates and protein. Your body needs fat to function. Fat provides the most calories per gram of any macronutrient. In a survival situation, calories are everything, and coconut oil delivers over 120 calories per tablespoon. Here is what most people do not realize. The global coconut oil supply has been tightening. The Philippines and Indonesia, which produce the majority of the world's coconut oil, have been dealing with aging coconut palm plantations, extreme weather events, and rising domestic demand. Wholesale prices for coconut oil have increased steadily over the past year, and retail prices are following. I switched to coconut oil as my primary stored fat about 2 years ago after talking to someone who works in food logistics. He told me that in any extended supply disruption, cooking oils are among the first items to disappear from shelves because they are bulky, heavy, and have limited shelf life compared to other pantry staples. Coconut oil solves all of those problems. It is solid at room temperature, so it does not leak. It lasts for years, and it works for frying, baking, sautéing, and even as a skin moisturizer in a pinch. Buy 2 or 3 large jars of virgin coconut oil. Store them in a cool, dark cabinet. This single item fills the biggest gap in most emergency pantries, and almost nobody is talking about it. Item number 12. Bouillon cubes and powdered broth. When people think about emergency food, they think about calories and nutrition, and those are important. But there is another factor that almost nobody considers until they are actually living on stored food: flavor. If you have ever tried to eat plain rice and beans for more than 2 days in a row, you know what I'm talking about. It gets monotonous fast, and when morale drops, everything gets harder. Bouillon cubes and powdered broth are the solution to that problem. A small box of chicken or beef bouillon cubes costs about $2 and contains enough to make dozens of cups of broth. That broth can be used as a base for soups, a cooking liquid for rice, a seasoning for beans, or just a warm, comforting drink on a cold day. The psychological value of a hot cup of broth during a stressful situation is enormous. These products last for years on the shelf. They take up almost no space, and they weigh almost nothing. I keep several boxes of chicken bouillon, beef bouillon, and vegetable bouillon in my pantry at all times. I also have a few jars of better than bouillon paste, which has a richer flavor but does need refrigeration after opening. This is one of those items that costs almost nothing to stockpile, but makes an outsized difference in quality of life during an emergency. Do not overlook it. Item number 13. Canned fruit. In juice, emergency eating can get pretty bleak, pretty fast if all you have is savory staples. Canned fruit provides something that most pantry plans completely ignore: natural sweetness, vitamin C, and a morale boost that is hard to put a price on. Canned peaches, pears, mandarin oranges, and fruit cocktail in juice, not syrup, are all excellent choices. They provide hydration because of the liquid they are packed in. They provide quick energy from natural sugars. And they taste good, which matters more than most preppers want to admit. I recently read a report from a food bank network that said canned fruit is one of their most requested items and one of their least donated. That tells you something about how people think about it. Everyone donates canned vegetables and pasta. Almost nobody thinks to donate fruit. The same blind spot exists in home pantries. I keep at least a dozen cans of assorted fruit in my storage area. I buy whatever is on sale and I rotate through it regularly. My kids love canned mandarin oranges as a snack, so those get used up quickly and replaced. The key is to buy fruit packed in juice rather than heavy syrup. The juice versions have less added sugar and the liquid itself can be consumed as a drink. Add canned fruit to your next shopping trip. It is cheap, it lasts for years, and it will be one of the first things your family reaches for when the regular food routine gets disrupted. Item number 14. Dried lentils and split peas. If you have been paying attention to this list, you have noticed a pattern. The best emergency foods are the ones that are cheap, shelf-stable, nutrient-dense, and versatile. Dried lentils and split peas check every single one of those boxes. A 1-pound bag of dried lentils costs about $1.50 and provides roughly 12 servings of high-protein, high-fiber food. They cook faster than dried beans, which means they use less fuel, which matters if you are cooking on a camp stove or limited energy source. Red lentils cook in about 15 minutes. Green and brown lentils take about 20 to 25 minutes. Split peas take around 30 minutes. None of them require soaking overnight like dried beans do. The nutritional profile is outstanding. Lentils are packed with iron, folate, and potassium. Combined with rice, they form a complete protein. In many parts of the world, lentils and rice are the primary diet for hundreds of millions of people. It works. It has worked for thousands of years. I started buying dried lentils in bulk about a year ago after realizing how much more efficient they are than canned beans for long-term storage. A 25-pound bag of dried lentils takes up about the same space as a large bag of dog food and provides enough meals to feed a family of 4 for weeks. Stored in a sealed container with oxygen absorbers, dried lentils can last for 5 years or more. This is one of the smartest additions you can make to your pantry. And right now, while they are still cheap and widely available, is the time to do it. Item number 15. Instant coffee and tea bags. I debated whether to include this one. It is not a survival food in the traditional sense. You will not die without coffee or tea. But I included it because I think people underestimate how important routine and comfort are during a crisis. If you drink coffee every morning and suddenly you cannot get coffee, that is not just an inconvenience, it is a morale killer. Caffeine withdrawal causes headaches, irritability, and fatigue. And in a situation where you need to be sharp and focused, those symptoms can be a real problem. Instant coffee is not glamorous. It does not taste like your favorite pour-over from the local cafe. But it dissolves in hot water in seconds, it lasts for years in a sealed container, and it gives you the caffeine and the ritual that your body and mind are accustomed to. A large jar of Folgers or Nescafe instant coffee costs about $8 to $10 and provides well over 100 cups. Tea bags are even simpler. A box of 100 basic black tea bags costs a few dollars and stores indefinitely. Tea provides caffeine, warmth, and hydration. It is one of the most efficient comfort items you can stockpile. I keep a large jar of instant coffee and several boxes of assorted tea bags in my pantry. Green tea, black tea, chamomile, and peppermint. The chamomile and peppermint are especially useful because they can help with sleep and digestion, which are common issues during stressful situations. Do not underestimate the power of a warm cup of something familiar when everything else feels uncertain. Add instant coffee and tea to your pantry today. Now let me step back and talk about the bigger picture here. Because if you have been paying attention, you have probably noticed something. Every single item on this list has one thing in common. They are all getting more expensive. Every single one. Rice, beans, peanut butter, canned goods, oats, honey, pasta, milk, salt, oil, broth, fruit, lentils, coffee. All of them. The prices are moving in one direction and they are not coming back down. This is not a temporary spike. This is a structural shift in how food is priced in America. Input costs are higher. Labor costs are higher. Transportation costs are higher. And those costs get passed directly to you every time you walk into a store. The people who understand this are building their pantries now. They are buying a little extra each week. They are learning how to store food properly. They are thinking about their families, not just for tonight's dinner, but for the next 6 months, the next year, the next 5 years. And the people who do not understand this, the people who think everything will always be available and affordable, they are the ones who will be caught off guard. They always are. You are watching this video because you are not one of those people. You want to be ahead of the curve. You want to know what is coming before it arrives. And now you do. Start with whatever you can afford. Even if it is just one extra bag of rice and a few cans of beans on your next grocery trip. That is a start. Build from there. Every item you add to your pantry is a small investment in your family's security. And unlike almost everything else you spend money on, these items will only become more valuable over time. If this information was helpful to you, I need you to do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and drop a comment below telling me which item on this list surprised you the most. I read every single comment, and I use your feedback to decide what topics to cover next. I have got more videos coming that go even deeper into this. Next week, I am going to be talking about the foods you should never stockpile because they will go bad faster than you think. You do not want to miss that one. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this community. Stay smart, stay prepared, and I will see you in the next one.